Hello everybody and welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube channel. Yes, it's Corey, but of course Danny's here. Danny's here for a monthly series on the transfers. And listen, mate, we was talking beforehand. I was kind of scratching my brains. I thought we are gonna have to go through the Arnie thing again, but it's kicked off, isn't it? It's kicked off in the last 24 hours or so. I mean, where do we got to touch on Sebastien Haller here? I mean,
Yeah.
just your immediate reaction to the whole situation, how it's come about, and do you think it's the right thing to happen now?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, mate. Firstly,
No worries, man.
I didn't, like you, mate, I didn't really expect it. I didn't think, if there was going to be a concrete offer that would be made in the summer and that we just settle with what we have, maybe had someone else like King going on the cheap. But Moyes has said it before, mate. Moyes has hinted that he's not a fan of Haller. He doesn't suit the system, the desired system Moyes wants to play, where you need like a mobile striker like an Arnautovic to kind of close down their defenders. And Antonio can do that as well, but can you rely on Antonio for the whole season? Probably not. So Moyes is thinking, I need to bring someone in here who can give Antonio competition. And there's no doubt Haller's a talented striker. What he can do is bicycle kicks, the goals he scored. He's in the area. He's like a poacher when the ball comes to him. But for closing down and his movement as well isn't great. Moyes maybe thinks if we can get 20 million quid here and go and get like a Seamer or maybe an immediate replacement, then it probably makes sense. I'm a gutted, probably not. I'm more gutted about Snodgrass, mate, and that speaks volumes for me. I think, like I said, Haller will do well there because he needs players around him. But I think we made too many excuses, if you like, for him. And really, I just don't think he was cut out for the Premier League. So,
listen, mate. Unfortunately, I do think that is the final line on it. Really, I mean, me and you sat there in the summer talking about Haller, how we can get the best out of him. Like I said to you before we came on, we have seen him in different systems. We know the 4-4-2 did work a lot better. There's absolutely no doubt about it, but it just doesn't suit us at this time. And for me, it felt kind of inevitable that Haller would go eventually. My concern is how quickly we bring somebody in. Obviously, the fixtures will come thick and fast. We've got a Stockport in the FA Cup, which is fine. So there's a bit of a reprieve there. My issue is now, do we put too much pressure on Antonio to be our starting striker if we don't bring someone in quick enough?
Exactly, mate. That's what I'm thinking. Antonio is very injury prone, as I hate to say it in a sense, but he is. And I've seen people calling for Odebeko to get a chance. Yes, in the cup games he can do. He's got ability. But you can't throw a kid like, what is he, 18 years old? You can't really just count on someone of that age, mate, to be back up to Antonio to come off the bench and score goals, because he's not going to do it. You need to, if your young players are up, you need to wrap them up in cotton wool and really nurture them slowly and give them games here and there. But I think really you need to leave Odebeko out of the limelight, get him out of there, and just and get someone in quickly. But Antonio's a massively important mate on his day for us, but his day sometimes, he's very injury prone. So can you count on that?
And that's the thing. I don't think people talk about Odebeko. Obviously, we've seen him in the youth team, and he is an exciting prospect. But I don't think Moyes will throw him in. I really don't think he will. I think people think possibly he'll promote him. I know he's had a couple of injuries here and there, but if he was gonna feature in and around the squad, I think we would have seen a little bit of him on the bench. So, and we know Moyes is likes his senior players and things like that. But again, like you say with Antonio, it always feels like he is an injury away. Possibly the next month or so, he picks up a hamstring again, and we go through the same cycle. I mean, I want to touch on this as well. Obviously, we've lost that. We're losing Haller, Antonio, if we don't bring anyone in. I would have actually liked to have three senior strikers, which is what most Premier League clubs have. I think it's pretty dangerous, even if we get a Josh King or a Seamer. I mean, Seamer probably a little bit far-fetched this window. Yeah. It's not enough, mate. Two senior Premier League strikers just isn't enough.
It's not. And I look across the Premier League, mate, and the teams that actually don't have a lot of depth in that striking role. I think obviously City, Liverpool do, but I can't really think of any team that has above three strikers to choose from, which is astounding. But yeah, in this day and age, you need versatility up front. You need different options. Antonio's pacey, raw, isn't he? You need maybe like someone who's good aerial as well. I know I'm saying that because Haller's gone, but yeah, mate, you need a combination of all. And like pace hurts teams. I always say that. I always believe that pace. If you get pacing behind centrally or out wide, then it, like a Seamer, it can really hurt teams. And yeah, mate, I just think though in terms of Odebecker, I think Moyes is doing him a favour, because if you look at Xande Silva, and he played well against Birmingham in the cup, but then suddenly there was pressure saying, "Oh, get him in more, get him in more," and look what happened to him. Did the pressure get the better of him? I'm not sure. Or he had a lot of injuries as well. I know that, but I just feel like keeping Odebecker out of centre of attention at the moment is a good thing, because then it will help him as a player to develop and then mature. And in a few years, when he's 2021, you bring him in. But for now, I would leave him out of it, mate. I think it's a good decision.
I do worry, man. I just worry about this window, because for me, it smacks of we won't spend that money. It won't be reinvested. We'll get a loan signing in for a striker. And I think at some point, Odebeku will be called upon, even if it is on the bench. I mean, it's inevitable. It's crazy when you think we spoke in the summer, the amount of sort of young strikers that we had that we thought possibly could get promoted this season. And they went out on loan immediately in the summer. And you look at, I mean, we'll touch on the squad depth, mate, because for a few games this season, we've had 2 goalkeepers on the bench. Is it a massive concern that Haller going, Snodgrass going? How are we going to mitigate that? Do you think we're going to bring in a centre midfielder or a striker, or do you feel that Moyes is going to chance it a little bit, possibly promote some of the youth?
I think he'll chance it to promote some of the youth as well, mate, because you've got like Connor Coventry there, who's obviously a good player. You got Rosa, who's potentially a good player, covers a lot of positions. So I think Moyes is definitely looking at the youth and thinking, right, if we've got a few injuries here, we can look to implement the youth like he has done on the bench this season. I think it was against Everton, wasn't it? It was a few academy players on the bench. Yeah, but it's me and you have always said this season that the fact that there's not a lot of depth in that squad. Say if Rice or not Noble or Souček get injured, you haven't got a lot of cover there. So we're only a few injuries away from going out of form, really. So we need to be really careful. Luckily, we've been all right for injuries this season. But yeah, certainly, mate, it is concerning. It is concerning whether Sully will do the business, because he usually doesn't. So
yeah, tell me about it.
What are the chances? But yeah,
it's worrying. I'm actually more worried about that centre midfield, because I think that's a real situation where if one of them two, Souček or Rice, goes out, could be even more problematic than one of our strikers going out. Because I think West Ham as a team this season has shown we can create chances from set pieces. We could do just enough to get by. But you look at Souček, obviously his defensive work rate, the goals he's picking up as well, mate. And the problem I've got is, albeit Snoddy's going out, when Noble comes in, I don't want to make this a sort of platform to dig him out, but you lose that athleticism, and that is really going to affect us in the middle of the park.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I think we were linked with someone from Strasbourg today. His name's Belgrade. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he would be perfect, because he's cheap. He reminds me a bit of. He's a mix of Kante and Vieira from Leeds. He used to play for Leeds. He plays for Sampdoria now. He's similar to that.
Yeah.
He's energetic. He's young. He's raw, but he's got a lot of potential. And if we're looking at him, fair enough. That'd help a lot. But I agree with you, mate. The fact that when you take Souček and Rice out, the athleticism is gone. And Noble, he obviously a very good player in his day, but I think they'll look to implement him into more of a coaching role now in his last year. So yeah, mate, I think I agree with you. I think the central midfield role, to be fair, worries more than the attacking side of things. I do. So
yeah, no, definitely, and I think obviously we touched on the transfer target video, the likes of Lundstrom. If we could bring him in, I think it accelerates that process a little bit now with Lord Lundstrom, the FPL Lord himself. But on a serious note, I think. As much as I like Snodgrass, and like you touched on, the work rate, the passion, he fights for the badge, all those types of things are massively admirable as a West Ham fan. But having someone to push Rice and Souček in a rotation sense, where if we're in the last 60 minutes of a game that we are winning, and hopefully, I know Moyes makes it a little bit difficult, but if say we are 2-0 up, just to give Rice and Souček a bit of a break, mate, because that fair play to them. I mean, they've done the 90 minutes over the Christmas period, which is unreal, but they need the rest, man. They can't do 90 minutes each and every game throughout the entire season. Or maybe they can, but I'd rather they didn't.
No, exactly, mate. I think over time they probably will be looking at central midfielders. I hope they do get one in this window, though, because, like, again, the same with Connor Coventry. He's got a lot of ability, but can you rely on him too soon? Well, he's not that young, is he? But this is why we should have kept hold of Josh Cullen or someone like that, mate. It would have been perfect for now, with a limited budget. Keep him in. He can do the simple things well. And like we've said, if you get an injury to Rice or Souček, your whole team, your whole dynamic changes because you've lost that athleticism, you've lost that how they complement each other, and that box to box sense. So it is a concern, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to touch on this as well because we didn't know Snodgrass and Haller were going. Let's be clear. You could have possibly made an argument for Snodgrass with the playing time, less so with Haller, particularly as he's one of our only two recognised strikers. But is it not concerning that it doesn't appear that there's any plan? Because I don't think there was any plan to sell them. So I can't imagine there was any plan to buy replacements. And does that affect the way we do business in clubs trying to drive up prices for some of their players as well?
Yeah, to be fair, I'm not shocked though but for me, you probably think the same, mate. If you're selling a player, you need to have a replacement lined up. You've got to have a plan lined up. Say, obviously we're losing 2 players now. Our squad will be paper thin after that. We haven't even got a striker we've got Antonio for Stockport, but you'd rather play someone else, wouldn't you?
Yeah, 100%.
And it's concerning. You need to have it's the forward thinking mechanism of it. Football's a forward thinking industry. You need to, if you sell a player like a Snodgrass, you need to think, right, who can we get as a replacement, younger maybe, because Snodgrass is kicking on now, that has resale value in the future, like that Strasbourg midfielder, someone like him. But it's more of just, we've got targets. We'll get the scattergun out. But you need to identify targets that you think are realistic and that you think you can get the deal done, rather than wait till the end of the window and panic buying someone, because that's what will happen.
That's what worries me. That it feels like, you mentioned that midfielder there that I'm not too familiar with. Do we know that is someone that Moyes has scouted beforehand and he's interested? If so, I can buy it. And to be fair to Moyes, since he's come into the club second time round, the signings have been pretty decent and they have acclimatised to the squad. But there is that risk, mate, particularly where you've only got 3 recognised centre midfielders, you've got 1 recognised striker, that you panic a little bit just to get a bit of quality squad depth in.
Yeah, no, exactly. And to be fair, credit to Moyes, because Bowen and Souček, I think maybe they're on the radar for a little longer than, before Moyes was here for the second time. But they're top drawer signings. And I think that geezer from Strasbourg is on his radar, because I think X confirmed it before. And how Moyes said he wants to build that Red Bull model, and he's quite a younger player. I think that's Moyes' plan over time, is to get rid of the Snodgrasses, the Nobles, and replace them with like 22, 21-year-olds, which is a good plan to have. But it is concerning, mate. Yeah, it's concerning because, if you sell players, players of Snodgrass and Haller who can offer different qualities as well, and you haven't got a direct replacement lined up, it is, it could derail your season, completely. So
yeah, for me, it goes one way, really. I mean, it can derail the season if we don't act quick enough. The other way I looked at it and trying to put a bit of a positive spin on it, if we do go out and let's say we get a Josh King or, a Lundstrom or a player like that, it is actually giving Moyes now the opportunity to start to bring in a squad of players that he rates. And I think we've seen that over time where he's picked the right players that he trusts. If he's got the likes of Josh King that he does trust, and we see more of a rotation policy, I'd like to see that. And that is another challenge for him. If he does get a squad of players that he likes, that he starts to rotate a little bit, because he's got a bit of a reputation for playing the same players week in, week out, 90 minutes and knackering them out.
Exactly, mate. You need to have the balance, don't you? You need to have the balance, mate, completely.
Yeah, nice. It's an interesting one. I mean, look, let's touch on some of the other rumours, because I mean some of them are a bit out there, and I wanted to get you on because we spoke about this Red Bull model, and hopefully and I suppose Josh King to a degree goes against it. He's 29, but a player that I think for the deal we'd get him for, the price would actually be quite favourable. But some of the people we've been linked with, mate, I'm going to touch on Graziano Pella from China. Possibly the opposite of a player we'd want. I mean, your thoughts on that rumour? I think it's a no-go anyway, but would you take him if there was a possibility, even on a 6-month deal?
No. No. Straight up. No. A few years ago, yes. But you've got to... I think that's a stretch too far, mate. Arnautovic is 31 too. That's as far as I'd go. Any more than that, and it's a bit of a journeyman signing for me. It's, it stinks of a cheap signing. Haller had a lot of ability. I don't know if he does now. He probably still does, but his days are numbered, mate. And for me, I'd rather look at someone like. I don't get when people say Josh King's old, mate, because he's in his prime. 28, 29, 30 is your prime years as a footballer. King will be in his prime. He's wanting to play. He's not played because he's fallen out with Bournemouth. He's not been fit, and he's not really had the attitude because he's wanted to stay in the Premier League. I think he outlined that to them when they got relegated straight away. That's a bit of an issue, but King's got ability over the years. I think I put a tweet out before saying he's, that record he's got of goals and assists in 140 odd games isn't too bad at all, and he's versatile. I wouldn't be against it, mate. But personally, I'd go all out for someone like Adam Armstrong.
Yeah, I don't know too much about him, man. I'll touch on that. But with the Josh King thing, I'm surprised how many people are a bit split by it. I don't know if it is just me. I mean, we spoke about it, the value, what he offers, the experience, etc., etc. Some people think that he's padded his record a little bit with some of those penalties, that he's not a finisher. But I feel like when I watch him, he's that exact mould of striker that I think Moyes wants. And I don't know your opinion on it. I'm sure you feel a little bit similar.
Exactly. He can hold the ball up as well. He can run in behind. He's good technically with the ball at his feet. He can score a range of goals. I remember a few years ago against United, he kind of controlled the ball, hooked it over Lindelof, and then volleyed it home. He's got the ability to do that. And I am surprised, like you, that so many fans are divided upon it because he's proven Premier League quality. He's done it in the Premier League. He's got nearly 50 goals in the Premier League. And Haller got 14. I know Haller's only been here for 2 seasons, but that's a kind of example that, King. I liked King, to be fair, and it was only 2 years ago, sorry, mate, that he was linked with Manchester United, going back to United.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it does speak volumes, and I think what I'm excited a little bit to see is his versatility. Sometimes we look against teams that we should be breaking down, particularly on that left-hand side where Fornals lacks a bit of pace on transition. King's got that. He can offer that into his game. You showed the stats the other week in terms of the chances created from the shots that he has. Again, that's another element to the counter-attack and trying to break teams down. If you can get the right price for him, which, listen, I'm not too sus on Sullivan's negotiation tactics, but if you can get the right price for him, it's a no-brainer. Go out, do it, get it done, and let's try and get another centre midfielder in there to bulk things out.
Yeah, exactly. I think the only thing that concerns me with King, mate, is that he's very injury-prone as well.
Yeah, that has been mentioned.
You've got to gamble though, because he is proven. I'd rather him over someone. Say if it came to him or Seema, I'd much rather King and then go for Seema in the summer. Because Seema's a project. He's not going to hit the ground running straight away and ask you to bag 10 goals off the bench. He's not going to happen. You need to kind of mould him into the Premier League, get him used to the physicality, and then he'll become a player. But you can't. That ruins a player. That high demand on a player straight away, it will ruin Seema. So, if you get King and Seema in, great. But if not, King is fine. And then, like you said, get someone like Alex Král or that Strasbourg midfielder in to just bolster that midfield, give it a bit more athleticism.
But it is the window as well, mate. I think if you're looking at Seema, if you bring him in the summer, he's got time to acclimatise a little bit to the squad, get used to things, see where he fits in, introduce him. And we know Moyes takes a while to introduce him. Still waiting for Ben Rama really to get a good run of games. But I think Josh King, the argument's there. Okay, some people say, well, he's been rested at Bournemouth and he hasn't quite played enough. But if he's fit, he's played in the Premier League before. He understands that. He only played last season in the Premier League. So for me, I just think if you're going to go out and get a January signing where the market can be a little bit volatile, your Lundströms and your Josh Kings that have Premier League experience, Lundström's still playing in the Premier League, then for me, we should just go for it.
Yeah, exactly. You look at Callum Wilson as well, mate. He's done well.
Yeah, I know.
He's backed I don't like him, but he's backed about 8
goals. No one likes him, man. No one likes him. But I watched him the other week and I was like, I still hate you. But actually, he was another one, mate, about the injuries, wasn't it? Can he recover? He had some serious injury problems, and he's kept fit at Newcastle, and he's performing. And maybe you just need to take a bit of a risk. And Josh King won't be as expensive as Callum Wilson, I don't imagine.
Same age, mate, as well. Similar. I think they're both. King's 29 in a week or so. I think Wilson's the same.
Yeah, no, definitely. Go on, I'll let you have your bit on Adam Armstrong because I am an absolute novice when it comes to this guy. But everyone talks about him. So if people that aren't familiar with him, give us a bit of an introduction. What type of player is he? Goal scorer? What's his age? Go for it, man.
So he's 23, mate. He's 23. So perfect age. He was obviously at Newcastle. You remember him and Ivan Toney? They were both there, but Newcastle let them both go. They didn't really get a fair shout, to be honest with you. He's a very mobile forward, a bit of a poacher as well. He's, technically he's very good. He's quite, he's small. He's small, but he's got that low center of gravity that he can glide past players and drop in between defenders, which really helps him when it comes to attacking movement, getting in the box. He can pick the ball up from deep and have a pop and it'll go in. He's just a project, mate. He's someone I really, really, really like. I'd put him, on that list above anyone, to be honest.
Yeah,
above anyone, because he's a real player, and I think you're looking at the resale value as well. In a few years, will be massive. And he would acclimatise to the Premier League almost straight away. He's got real ability. I'm surprised other clubs haven't been involved or looking at him, to be honest. So yeah, no, that's all I've got to say. He'll be a top player in a few years. He is now anyway. He's got, I think he's a top scorer in the Championship this season, or is Tony. I think the level pegging or thereabouts. And he's doing it in a pretty average Blackburn side. So no, yeah. I think top player. I think he's a top player.
Screams a bit of Jared Bowen when he was in an average Hull side and he was banging them in. I mean, look, people turn their nose up a little bit at the Championship. You look at some of the quality in there. For me, I'm not an expert by any means, but watching Ivan Toney and some of his movement in the box and his physicality he's a bit good for that level. And you look at someone and think, and we sat here, mate. We sat here for a couple of shows in the summer with Eze, and talking about his runs from deep and his physicality and woe. And now you look at him the other week scoring from his own box. So it's like
we called it, mate. We called it.
I know, man. We did call it. And obviously, listen, Ben Rama hasn't had enough time for me. I think he's shown real glimpses. And in terms of pure talent, I think he's got it. But listen, man, I'd like to see West Ham be ambitious. Unfortunately, it's not going to be that market. You'd love to see him go for an Armstrong or a Toney, but possibly in the summer, if we've got any money kicking around. I'm not quite sure what the issue is with the money. It does really get on my nerves, but you have to look at them like you say, they're projects, and they can make that step up.
Yeah, no, exactly, mate. Yeah, I think who else I would look at, mate. I don't think we'll get him this month. But I think in the summer, if they don't, push and promote and charge, it'd be a real potential of getting him. Lucas Shaw from Reading. If you watch him,
Mark me debt for him, mate.
Lucas Shaw, have you not?
Nah, mate, I'm terrible. I need to do my homework a little bit on some of these players.
Oh, he's a top player. He's difficult to describe. He's tall. He can score penalties. He scored against. He scored 2 against Huddersfield the other week, and his second one was a beauty. But he's another one, mate, which, I'd look at. And that option in terms of versatility, so you got him, who's a completely different player to Adam Armstrong. Jal's quite tall, athletic, can score red kicks, all that, but he can press as well. And I think, I don't know if Reading will push for promotion in the Championship. I'm not sure. I know, who's that? Omari Richards is going to Bayern Munich, isn't he?
Left back, I saw that actually. Crazy, man.
They've got that Elise as well, the attacking midfielder, 19 or something. He'll be a special player. So they've got some players, but if you threw a few quid at Reading for Lucas Shaw, I reckon they'd be tempted. But I don't think that'll happen because of their promotion credentials, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, mate. I think Championship clubs, particularly if West Ham comes sniffing with that £20 million, will all of a sudden say, I think he's worth a little bit more, bit more, a couple of add-ons in there. But, I remember having this discussion about Ben Rama and a bit off topic, but I watched him the other week and people were like, I don't know if his work rate's there. His pressing was fantastic and he didn't get a lot of credit for that. And I thought, he has got something about him in terms of that work rate. And a lot of these Championship players in the Championship, intensity is quite high. It gets a little bit disrespected for me, the Championship. The standard's not as bad as I think people make out.
It's overlooked, mate, isn't it? It's completely overlooked. And they transition well because they're used to the physicality. The Championship physicality is, it matches the Premier League, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I know Benrahma, he's definitely a player, and credit to Moyes because that work rate improving that department in his game will only make him a better player. Against Leeds, he was the difference for me. I thought he was superb what he did.
Quality,
Between
mate.
the lines, sending Phillips to a hot dog and all that, but
Yeah.
no, he's yeah. I think the Championship, like you said, is disrespected, and there's players in there that'd be less of a gamble than going looking at overseas. Lucas Shaw, Adam Armstrong, Elise. You got a host of players. Even as far as League One, mate.
Yeah,
Maybe even
maybe.
Wilkes from Hull City, someone like that. I don't. There's a project there, and I think projects are healthy within a club to have, rather than signing 35-year-old Graziano Pad who's gone to China for his last wage.
Yeah. Let's talk about another 30-something-year-old, and this is obviously something that
Go
Claret and
on.
Hugh have brought up this evening. We always seem to be linked with this guy, Olivier Giroud.
Hmm.
I've got to say, I personally think Olivier Giroud is underrated. I actually do rate his
Yeah, I
movement
love
in the
him.
box. His goal scoring record's fantastic. Scored 4 goals
Yep.
in the Champions League. It's nothing to sniff at. The issue I've got is if you're buying a player, you expect him to stretch the lines. Giroud's not going to do that, but his movement in the box is fantastic. And if we could get him, mate, would you take a punt on him, 6-month loan deal, and see what he can do? Because there's no doubt he's a proven Premier League goal scorer.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think he's, like you said, mate, he's a proven Premier League goal scorer. He's done it for a few years. His movement is up there with one of the best in the world. In
Ooh,
hand on heart,
yeah,
I think it's sensational. The finishing he can do, heading. He's an acrobat as well.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'd rather him over Arnautovic, mate, because I think he'd suit our style. I think they both suit our style, but I think in terms of finishing ability and quality, Giroud is a step ahead. And it's always one that pops up though, isn't it? And then it disappears because Chelsea, in fact, they want to keep him because they can't let him go because they like him. But Giroud's not getting any game time, and we're in London, Chelsea in London. If you think, throw a few quid at Giroud, see what he says. But I don't know,
Yeah.
mate. It's one of them.
It is one of them, and I'm sort of head and heart. Always look at the system. Will he fit? I think in a 4-2-3-1 would suit him a little bit better with Benrahma and Bowen behind him. He's one of them players where I think if he wants the game time and he wants to play and he's hungry to play like he still is, you just take a punt on him because he doesn't look like he's really slowing down. He's never been a quick player, but he's a very clever player. And I think that's why the longevity is there. And mate, I'd love to see him because I think he makes those runs across the near post that people can't get to. And we need to be clinical, mate. How many chances have we created this season, sat there and gone, we should have been out of sight in those games. And you look at Giroud and thinks he just buries them.
He does. He buries every chance he gets, really, doesn't he? And I think he deserves more game time. He's obviously behind Werner and Abraham as well. But I think Giroud's a top quality player.
Yeah.
Will we get him? Probably not.
Yeah, come on, man. Look, it's Drew.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys.
But in fairness, though, like I think Lamps is probably banking on him a bit because of Werner's form in front of goal and Abraham. He wants him there as well. The mobility that he offers, I just think he needs Giroud. He does need Giroud because I think even though he doesn't play him every game, he will call upon him when he thinks we need a goal here, which is crazy when you think about it. He's arguably one of their best strikers, and he doesn't really get sniffed.
That's what I mean, mate. I don't understand why Lampard, in a side that's struggling at the moment, why he doesn't move Werner out to the left or even take Werner out, put Giroud up top because he's guaranteeing your goals.
Yeah,
he's guaranteeing your goals.
The Werner thing, mate, I can't wrap my head around. I know he got him behind near towards the end of the game when we played him, but I mean, his finishing, his confidence is off, his positioning is off as well. It's bizarre. I mean, that is the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Lampard for you.
Werner will come good for me. I think he just needs a bit of luck. I think when I've seen him, the positions and his shots have been unlucky. I thought he was poor against Arsenal. I thought all Chelsea in general were poor against Arsenal the other week. But I think Werner's got the ingredients to be a top player. But it takes, Chelsea aren't firing on all cylinders, are they? So it takes time. I don't think Lamps is the man for Chelsea either. I think he's in the mud a bit. So
yeah, I agree, man. I think he's well out of his depth. He's got a squad that he doesn't quite know what to do with. And listen, Guardiola did a job on him, but Lampard against Guardiola. Guardiola is a world class manager, and he will do that to you.
It was a risky appointment in general, mate. He did very well at Derby, but that was maybe because they didn't have a lot of expectations for Derby, and they were kind of a dark horse in a sense, weren't they? But to go from that to appointing him to the expectations at Chelsea, he's different gravy, and he's not going to do that. They should be looking at someone like Allegri, Chelsea.
Yeah, they need it's too lack of experience. It's a big club to try and manage, and he's out of his depth there. Let's get away from Fat Frank. I mean, he can go and struggle over there a little bit, and they did beat us, which is frustrating now. Another rumour, I don't believe this in a month for Sundays, but Sky Sports did report it. Christian Eriksen, and X also said about it as well. Do we really need another number 10, mate? I mean, I just, for me, it's just a no-go. It really, really is.
No, I don't, mate, because then it hinders the progress of the likes of Ben Rama. You got Bowen who can play there, Fornals can play there, Souček can push further forward. I wouldn't entertain it personally. I think, Eriksen's still only 28, to be fair to him, but the wages will be astronomical. And it's a no-go for me, mate. And he's an ex-Spud as well.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And there's no denying it. On his day, his quality is fantastic. On his day, he was one of the best creative players in the Premier League. The stats back it up, unfortunately. But I just look at it, mate, and how many number 10s? Lanzini, Benrahma, Fornals can play there as well. It just seems like wrong position, wrong time. And you spoke about it, the wages, mate. I'm not sure we'll be able to afford him.
No, definitely not. And if you've got the likes of, I'm not sure if you want to speak of him in a minute, mate, but Anderson as well.
Oh, God, yeah, we'll get to him. Don't worry, man. Don't worry, we'll get to him.
God. Yeah, but no, it's, you'd rather focus on other positions as well. And I saw about Lingard today as well. It's not...
we'll get to him and all.
Yeah, go on.
Go get to him. Right, I saw people are equally as split on Josh King to a degree as they are on Lingard. I've seen people really think he can come in, do a job. And there is something about Lingard that I think maybe for the work rate. But I just look at it and think we've got a bit of an obsession with 10s. We've got so many 10s in there. I want more of an 8 or a 6. And it's another one, mate, isn't it? Lingard, I think it's overlooked. His wages as well at Manchester United. They're still quite hefty. So if you're going to go and bring him in, you've got to try and match those. And wrong signing for me, wrong use of wages.
He's 100 grand plus, by the way, I think. I think, to be fair to Lingard, I think he's had a few personal problems over the years. I saw on a documentary the other day. So, you've got to put that into perspective. Like you said, he's a talent. I think a few seasons ago, he got a lot of goal contributions in a season. He was up there with one of the best in United squad. He's on a good side of age as well. But, like you said, mate, I don't see the value in getting another number 10 because then it's, you're too number 10 heavy in your squad and you need to have that balance across. Yeah, exactly. That comment there. Lingard won't make too much difference. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't for me. I don't think he gets in that team anyway, to be honest.
You touched on it, mate, about Benrahma's progress. And I don't know what the situation with Benrahma is. I think Moyes wants to slowly introduce him. It's been good to see him in the past couple of games and the difference he has made off the ball and on the ball. For me, the wrong use of wages. And I think, we've lost Snodgrass here and we've lost Haller. It's about making the right decisions, mate. Do you know what I mean? And you've got things that are glaringly obvious. And that's why I get so wound up when I see rumours of, we'll have another number 10 or another centre-back. There's holes in the squad and they need to be filled.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, no, it's Darren says here, you snap the hand off for Eriksen. No, I'm not having it. Do you know what it is, Darren? I just can't do it, man. I think we've got enough. I think we've got more than enough 10s. And I think Benrahma has got the quality. It's just taking time for him to be introduced into the side. And I've got no doubt that when he starts playing regularly, he's going to make a massive difference.
You're forgetting Diop as well, mate, because Diop's been trading in Cam as well. So.
He's playing up front, isn't he? He will be playing up front against Stockport. So
utility player, mate.
it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, Lingard and Eriksen. I just look at them and think, nah, not for me.
If I'm honest, mate, I think they're finished.
Yeah,
I think both of them are finished. I think they've definitely got ability, but Eriksen's been frozen out. I just think if we want to progress and go to a different level, which Moyes is taking us on to his credit, I think we need to look past players like that. To be honest.
yeah. A lot of people giving a lot of love to Eriksen. Listen, I'm not saying I don't rate him. I'm not saying I don't rate him, but I just think at this current time, there are certain players, and he did actually mention a left back. We haven't spoke about the left back, and this has been an interesting one as well because last time we spoke, we were digging at Creswell left, right, and centre. And to be fair, he's become one of the most creative defenders in the league.
He was watching it, mate.
He was. He's gone. And what's been interesting as well, when he's gone back to left back, yes, a couple of times, he's come out to press, or Theo Walcott gave him a bit of trouble the other week. But I actually think Moyes has told those left and right backs to be a bit more conservative, and I think that's benefited us a little bit. But there's no doubt we lose something without a pacey left back that can get forward, that can support the attack, particularly when you've got Fornals on that left hand side.
Completely. To be fair, though, in my honest opinion, I never thought Masuaki has done well this season, but I never think that he's our long-term solution.
Yeah,
I think he's a short-term solution, and a good one at that. But I think you need a proper balanced left back, and I don't think Masuaka is. Yes, he's got that protection behind him in Cresswell. Cresswell's better at centre back as well for me, by the way. Much better.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I mean, we'd never seen him at centre back before, but I mean, he's actually, for me, I think a lot of the time we saw him, he was a bit rash in the tackle, and I think at centre back he's a little bit more composed, and he's using his distribution really effectively, particularly on that counter, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Cresswell's done really well this season, hasn't he? He's just really consistent. He's been one of the best players in that team, and it's helped the likes of Ogbonna as well, because when Diop plays, Diop usually steps above the line and it exposes Ogbonna. So I think Ogbonna having that protection and solidity next to him has really excelled him as a player as well this season. So it's good to see.
Yeah, no. Before we get back into it, 60 people watching. Smash the like. Don't play around. It's going to be a monthly series every week. It's silly season, mate, isn't it? And there's no better person I'd rather speak to about silly season than, of course, Dan.
Exactly.
We're gonna have to touch it. We're gonna have to touch on it, man. Marko Arnautovic. This rumour rizzed his ugly head. Dennis nearly had a head fit yesterday because I said it, and he thought it was a lie. It wasn't a lie. There is something. Do you think this Haller situation, him going out, makes any bit of difference to it? I know our views on him, and I personally wouldn't like to see him back. And I know he was a good player at the time, but do you think maybe Moyes looks at it towards the end of the window? He needs someone in. Does he bite? Does he go there where he shouldn't really?
Wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me.
I know. There's something in it. There's definitely something in it where I look at it and think the Chinese wage cap. He rates Moyes. Moyes got the best out of him in that striker position. I want people to know in the comment section, what do you think about Arnie? Slate him. Do you think he'd fit in? Some people, listen, man. Some people look back at it and say, I wouldn't mind him back at West Ham. And I know what they mean, but that Arnautovic as he was, I don't think we'd be getting. I'm not sure we'd be getting the same guy for me.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. I think in some ways, if he replicates his form that he showed under Moyes and, his explosiveness, he'd be a great player and it'd be a no-brainer. But on the other hand, his numbers in China aren't that great. They're pretty average. He's on about, 250 grand a week plus.
Yeah.
He disrespected the club, didn't he? At the time, it kind of derailed our season. I know the players love him and welcome him back and, he still mates with the players. But I would personally rather move on and get someone else. He's 32 as well. You can have him for 6 months. And what if he just, the intensity in China is nowhere near the Premier League. So he's not going to hit the ground running either.
Yeah.
It's not, Moyes may like him, Moyes may love him. And yes, Arnautovic has got a lot of ability and he would suit that role very well. But for me, I think we need a bit more respect and to just, turn around and say to him, listen, no, you went off to China for money. You derailed our season, and as much as I liked his character at the time and his ability as a player, he's a snake, mate, isn't he? At the end of the day. So.
He is, and I was thinking earlier about. Do you remember it was January time, and he obviously waved off to all the fans as well because he thought he was going, and then he made that thing going, I'm back, and it really got my back up because I do remember it, and it's that disrespect, but I do understand there's that allure. We've had it with as well, mate. We've been linked. Does he come back? Doesn't he come back? But the Arnie thing, I think from a playing point of view, I think that's what, and I do get it. Arnie at that time in this system smashes it. That's my opinion,
completely.
but it's just the wrong move. We do like to reminisce with the rose-tinted glasses, but he's the guy that I look at and think the disrespect he showed towards the club was just unreal, and he did it twice, mate, as well, which is even worse.
He might turn around and do it again as well, mate. The only reason why he wants to leave China is because of that wage cut now, the 50 grand wage cut, and the foreign players that can go there. I think each team's only allowed 5 foreign players in their team.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I don't know what the comments are saying, mate. I don't know if they're agreeing or they're saying getting back, but
it's a bit like, he was good for us. The wages are high. I agree. It's one of them. The only reason I even give it any airtime, because this comes around all the time, mate, and it goes, do we get him back? And Moyes in the link. I do understand it. I think it's purely because what we've heard, Moyes likes him. He gets on with the players. I think from the out as an appointment with the fans, it's a no-go because we know what he did and we know how he acted. I think it's different in the club and the way that they view that. But for me, I can't imagine someone like Mark Noble taking too kindly to someone like Arnie just coming back in and disrespecting the club, and it just wouldn't sit right with me. And I think Moyes must have some kind of perception that is also a perception from fans.
Yeah, there's ifs and buts, mate. But saying that, touching on that Noble point, they had a great relationship at the time, didn't they? Always joking. I know Arnie did a video with Tubes on Soccer AM on YouTube, and he was joking about Noble all the time, saying, "No, he loves me more than I love him," and all that. And but the thing is, the bottom line, mate, he's 32. And he's not going to be the same player. What was that about the Chinese wage limit then?
I think you said it was Chinese wage limit is only on new signings. Okay.
Yeah,
interesting. So yeah. Nah. It's too much ag, mate. It's too much ag. Imagine him walking back in. Like, imagine the ructions we have, and say it goes wrong, and then all the fans are saying you wanted him back and all this, and it inevitably you feel that you can't even really protect it, even if it is a 6-month loan, because he's so volatile, mate. You just don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, but mate, if it comes to the last week of this window and we haven't got anyone in, I bet my future mortgage that he will be coming in. If we don't have anyone in by the last week of the window,
yeah,
he will be coming in.
What worries me more about this window is the fact that the way that the board work, the way that Sullivan will work is, so I've got £20 million, and he has his eyes on these strikers, and he thinks, I would like to get him for this price, can't get him. Clubs are trying to be hard to negotiate, and he gets to the final hour and gets someone in on loan. I think it's more likely we bring someone in loan. It could even be a Josh King than actually going out and paying a permanent, and that would be that'd be a kick in the teeth for me. How to sell a player that was our record signing at the time, 45 million. We've made a loss on him, or what you're led to believe possibly we're paying off the instalments allegedly. And then bringing someone in on loan is just ridiculous, mate. It's not a good look.
It's not at all. Like we go back to before, you need a direct replacement, and you need someone who's going to be better than Haller. You need a replacement to be better than what Haller is.
Yeah.
And that is the concern for me, is that we'll get the scattergun out, it won't work, we'll panic, and we'll get Arnie in. And
mate, can you imagine doing my predicted 11s about Arnie? It'd be like, but like you say, mate, like he's come over from China. It's a different pace of the league. We've got to account for that. Even if he did come back, even let's be massively hypothetical here. We need a player to come in and hit the ground running. And the reason why I say that is Antonio's injury record. And I think we've seen, particularly after that Aston Villa game in the first half where he pulled up, Moyes is a bit hesitant to even introduce him. Even when he come on against Southampton, wasn't making the same run. So there is clearly an understanding from the manager and the player that he can't go full out. I'd actually be shocked if he played at Stockport. I'd be absolutely shocked, because he needs as much time to get his full fitness back.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And you've got to, forward thinking as well. Antonio's reaching 30, isn't he?
Yeah.
So exactly, you need to, now it's fine for one striker, but in the summer you need 2 or 3 new strikers for me, because Antonio's not even a natural striker, mate. He's a winger converted forward, and as good as he is, sometimes he can be very wasteful, and you think, oh, Antonio's not working, we need someone else, and that someone else will be this January signing. I don't know who it will be, but anyone but Arnie for me, mate. I'd take Lucas Shaw, anyone but Arnie for me. But Chris wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either, mate. Chris has pulled me up quite rightly, saying who's going to leave on loan if we bring another in? Someone's got to go because we've got a full quota. Any ideas, man? Do we? I mean, I'm not even sure, to be fair. I mean, we'll touch on him a bit because there is one player coming back, and it is Felipe Anderson. From what I'm led to believe, hasn't worked out at Porto. Like I think West Ham thought he would. I think the idea was went over there, scored a couple of goals, his value went up, and we recouped that. We've all of a sudden now got a player potentially coming back that his value has just dropped.
Massively. Yeah, massively.
Mate, I want to know what you, because both me and you were critical of him, and not in terms of unfairly. I think, he did cause it himself. At the beginning, we said, obviously a talented player, lost a lot of confidence. What does Moyes do with him? Do you think it's a case of he's straight out the door? Or do you think Moyes, if we don't bring anyone in, tries and does something with it? Or it just feels like it's too late for me?
Straight out the door, mate.
Yeah.
Straight out the door. I think speaks volumes that he wasn't even in the Porto matchday squad sometimes. I don't know what's happened to him, to be honest, over the last year. He's just completely gone off the rails, hasn't he? He's just, decreased so much. We'd be lucky to get 10 million for him now. Honest.
I agree, mate. Yeah.
I think what X said before is the meaning that they're even exploring to loan him out or just try and get him off the books. And I don't know how to do that. I think maybe they'd entertain a cut price deal, installments over a few years, but I definitely think he needs to go back out because he's not good enough and he's on a lot of money as well.
That's what I'm about to say. The wage thing, mate, scares the life out of me. Imagine him back at West Ham taking up the wage bill.
He's not good. He had a purple patch, didn't he, where he was very good and he played well and he got the best out of Masuaku. Just when Haller came in that Norwich game, Anderson was fantastic. But he's a confidence player, mate, and he's not cut out for the Premier League. He's not, if Porto aren't playing him and that's the Portuguese league.
And Tony Martinez is banging him in over there and Felipe can't put his act together.
Exactly. Yeah. No, we need to get rid of him. I think January, I think we'll look to get rid of him if we can.
What's mental about both like Haller and Anderson, where they were our two record signings, and that you just think, like, what is going on? Like, the money we've lost on both of them is astonishing, mate.
We've lost how much on Haller? 25. Anderson, we paid how much for him? 40
yeah.
Odd. We probably lose about 30 million quid on him as well.
Awful.
It's madness. It's madness, mate. Even Lazio fans at the time warned us that Anderson's very hit and miss. He's very inconsistent. He's not far off being a top player, but at the same time, he's very frustrating. He goes missing. And we were well warned of that, and that's what we got. But the fact that they were now two record signings is just, to be fair, you can understand with Haller because he was one of the most sought after forwards in Europe at the time, wasn't he, with his goal scoring record and how he re-energized Frankfurt with Jovic and Rebic, but it's still a gamble. It's still, because you don't know how they will adapt to the Premier League. Look at Jovic at Real Madrid. He can't hit barn door, mate. I know it's Real Madrid, it's different gravy, but it's still the same thing. I think Rebic, to his credit, is doing well at Milan. But it's always a gamble, mate.
Yeah, look, Mark says it here. 45 Haller, 35 Anderson. But it's nuts, man. I think this is the issue with not having a proper scouting network is, I know they love to blame Husilios. He is the kind of fall guy for really both those signings. But at the end of the day, you can't go and spend that money without being absolutely sure. And listen, man, you look at some of our recent signings, Souček, 30 mil, Bowen, 20 mil. Okay, there is some element of risk in there, but they're the right character. They're the right mould of player. There's the right work rate there. And I couldn't think of two more polar opposite players in Anderson and Haller to what David Moyes is asking his side to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. That hard work in nature. That's why I like Fornals, mate. Fornals splits opinion a lot, but the ground he covers per game and what he does to that side, we're a better side with a minute than we are without, for me.
I agree. And I think he gets a lot of stick. He gets a lot of stick every week.
He does. I think he's a scapegoat. I think his goal contributions could be a lot better. For sure. Admittedly, he's got one assist since October.
Yeah.
It's poor. It's not good enough. But
it's tough, isn't it, though, mate? Like, you look at Fornals, like, you're bang on, like, in saying that without him at the side, there is that work rate that we lose. And I say, for me, we're lucky. I mean, we don't have great squad, but we do have depth in terms of those attacking midfield positions. There are games to play a Ben Rama on the left-hand side. There are games which are bang on for Fornals to play. And I think, against Everton and Southampton, I thought Fornals' work rate at times was the difference in protecting Creswell. And while we play a back four, he's actually more suited to play on the side.
Exactly. He's almost a left back at times, Fornals, isn't he? Because Masuaku would bomb forward or Cresswell would bomb forward more above him, and he just adds that protection. Every team for me needs a Pablo Fornals in the side because of that just grit and determination. Moyes didn't fancy him, so credit to him. He's got his head in the right place, and he's putting in performances. Sometimes he is poor. His finishing really frustrates me.
Every week, man. Every week. Like, this is the thing. Like, obviously, I have dug him out on streams consistently. It is purely because of the chances, and the chances that he gets are like cast iron, literally dead. You've got the goal, you've got everything going for you, and he just misses it. And I'm like, how many games that have gone to a draw? If we'd got that goal, would have changed things. And it annoys me. But he puts that work rate in, and that's why you forgive it a little bit at times.
Exactly, and mate, to miss them chances, you've got to be in that right position, and that's what he does. He misses sitters every game, but he's in the right place. No other player is, and if he can just add that bit of quality to his finishing, he's a good player. But for me, I like him anyway. I know he divides opinion, and he's he can be sloppy sometimes in the final third, and his quality is not the best. But he just clicks the team, mate. I just think he's a good player.
Yeah, I agree. Something's made me laugh in the comments. Mark talking about apparently Haller's got his Ajax video. He looks amazing. Yeah, I'm sure, man. I'm sure. Do you know what? Fair play. I'm not going to dig him out. He didn't work for the Premier League. He didn't work for our system. But I look at him and I think you'll do all right over there. I really think he'll do all right over there. I think he'll do well. Yeah. Tadic behind him, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got the wingers either side. Who's that? Anthony and someone else on the other side. So I think the manager knows him as well, and he knows that league because he used to play for. What's the?
Oh God, I saw a picture of it today, but I can't.
It's Utrecht, isn't it? Something. Is it Utrecht?
Yeah, sounds about right. Man.
Yeah, no, I think he'll have fast, dynamic players around him. They're a good team, Ajax, and to be fair, he's gone from us to playing Champions League or Europa League football, one of the two that they're in. And he never really kicked up a fuss, did he? When Antonio came good, and he's got undoubted ability, but some players just don't adapt to the Premier League, and shamefully, he wasn't. We always hoped he would have come good, mate, but unfortunately, he didn't. It's one of them.
Yeah, and do you know what? I actually think someone that does suit this transfer Snodgrass to West Brom. I think it is tailor-made, and the reason why I say that is, like Big Sam mentioned it the other day, we need to stop conceding. You look at Snodgrass's work rate if he plays him off the left. You look at the set pieces. He's built for a Sam Haller, and to be fair to him, I'm happy to see him going. Not from West Ham, but in terms of, I think he will prolong his career a little bit, and I think he'll impress over there.
Definitely, mate. He's still got that engine. He's still got that, grit and determination when he was younger, when he was at Leeds, and he's got a match winning ability in him. That set piece delivery, or even his left foot where he can cut inside, gets into good positions as well. He never stops running. He's a great addition for them because they need heart now. They need passion. They need Premier League quality because that side's. It's not great, is it?
It's not. I did think it was interesting, but by the way, while we're here, because we mentioned in the summer about Carlin Grant, and I thought it was so interesting what Big Sam said. We don't have a striker. We don't have a natural striker. I was thinking, you've just bought Carlin Grant, and I really like the look of him, so I'm not quite... I like him as a player. I think the thing is with Big Sam, and it won't use it properly in my opinion because of the way he plays. He's got Pereira, Diangana, Carlin Grant. He has actually got some decent attacking players that he could use.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I think Carlin Grant isn't a Allardyce type of player, and I don't think Diangana is either, to be honest with you. Yeah, I agree with that comment, by the way. Spot on.
Yeah. Hopefully,
yeah, no. I don't know, mate. It's I think West Brom are down anyway. I don't think Sam will keep them up. But it's a bit of a dig at Grant, isn't it? But no, I think he's a good player. I liked him. Well, we wanted him, didn't we, at the time as well? So
Yeah, they're a weird one, mate. I think they've actually done worse by sacking Slav, because I think I look at some of the games they lost in, Leeds and things like that, and Arsenal. I think Slav would have got a tune out of them, to be fair, and he was gutted. You hear him the other day on the radio. He's a bit disappointed, to be sacked, but crazy thing. I guess they've just bitten, haven't they? West Brom, get a manager in that can keep you up, and they'll be hoping that Sam can pull a miracle off, mate, because it might be one of his toughest jobs.
He needs to, mate. I think, that is his toughest job for a while. But I do like, what's his face, that Pereira. I think he's a good player. I wouldn't mind him in the summer if they go down. I think he's a real talent.
I'll tell you what, I'd love it. But we've got so many tens, mate. We're losing. We're gonna have like 8 tens on the side. I thought we had 8 wingers, but apparently we don't have it. I mean, I think if West Brom do get relegated, I would half look at Grady a little bit. Just think, I don't know, maybe. But
should have let him go. Should not have let him go, because it's killed him. That you can tell.
I think it's killed him. Yeah, he's not the same player, mate.
No, definitely not. And would he have got the best out of Haller if he was here? You don't know, do you? But another one I wanted to speak about, mate. My voice is really high then.
Sorry, man.
What do you think about Yarmolenko? You think?
Oh my god! What, in terms of keeping him or just his performances?
His future. Do you think? I look to sell him this window, or
problem is with someone like Yarmolenko? Oh god! The problem is with someone like Yarmolenko is he's got no pace, and he's never. I don't think, from what I understand, he's ever been quick. He's injury prone. I mean, he has managed to keep relatively fit, actually, to be fair to him, in the last few months or so. But he come on the other day, or he started the other day, and defensively, I know he tries, but we've seen this before, with Haller. When you've got a lack of pace in a functional West Ham team, a team that there are teams out there that advocate for players like Yarmolenko, sort of in the same way. Everton, the way they give freedom to their tens in James and Gylfi Sigurdsson, we're not like that at all. We can't afford to have a player that can't defend and attack. And for me, I think he'll go this summer. I don't think they'll get rid of him, because I think Moyes likes him a little bit, possibly a last 20-minute player. Mm-hmm. But I mean, how much money are you going to get from it? It's a difficult sell, isn't it, mate? The wages he's on as well. I mean, it's another crazy signing for me. I know he was good when he had a couple of games in the side, but in the Moyes team, he just don't fit. He just doesn't fit at all.
No, he's got a lot of ability though, and that when we beat Everton, that chip over to Souček, by the way, was unreal. So he's got that vision. He has got that. To be fair, I really like him. I'm being honest. I think technically he's one of the best players in that squad. Yeah.
God, we're going to have to disagree, man.
Yeah, his work rate doesn't suit Moyes, and for that reason he'll probably be off in the summer. But technically, I know he's injury prone, but technically he is outstanding for me.
Oh God, I don't know. I can't agree on it, mate. Do you know what? I get it. He comes onto that left foot. He's got a blinding left foot. There's no getting it. But it's the past couple of games, and I don't know whether it's a lack of match fitness or a sharpness, but he's taking a lot of touches, a lot of unnecessary flicks, and we can't afford that.
Of his game, yeah, it does annoy me. That side of his game, but he has, he's good. Yarmo needs to go. Needs someone younger and quicker. Yeah, someone like Seema. To be fair, Seema and Bowen on the right wouldn't be bad, would it?
Yeah, no, I don't. Listen, I know what you mean. I think when we played in that Pellegrini side, it suited. Just the way we played, possession-based, and he got on the ball a lot, and he was able to cut in.
Yeah, it did.
It's just, would you, I'll ask you as a Yarmolenko fan, would you look to possibly play him in a different position, maybe in that 10 role, or maybe as a secondary striker? Do you think that would suit him a little bit better?
No, because he hasn't got the movement. I think he relies a lot on other players moving around him. When he scored that brace against Everton a few years ago, that first one, to be fair, was good movement, but that was mainly Arnie, and the second one was a mistake from them, but he cut inside. I think he's better when he's got more space on the right. Players know what they're going to do, but they can't necessarily stop him. But I think as a centre forward that it would just be nullified because he's not got the pace. He's quite lightweight as well for his size. So no, I'd stick him where he is.
Oh God. Mate, honestly, I've got to be clear. I've absolutely criticised him to hell in the past 2 games. Just like it's just frustrating, and maybe it's because we're used to a Jarrod Bowen. I mean, what Bowen offers, and Bowen's another one that I'm not saying he splits opinion, but I've seen people earlier, sort of past couple of games, go maybe he needs to be dropped, and I kind of looked at it and thought you always keep him in for that work rate. But to be fair, I've seen some of his decisions, and I don't know whether it is because of his age. Some of them aren't great, but you just feel because of his work rate, his energy, it will come. It's just that matureness that I think he'll eventually get in the Premier League.
Yeah, I like Bowen. I just think, like you said, I think he's very frustrating because of his decision making. His decision making is it's not Premier League level sometimes, is it? It's no, like some of him stuck in the past in the Championship. But no doubt he'll become a good player, mate, for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And he's a good player. He's a good player anyway, mate. He's vital to this side. But I just think, he needs to improve his end product a bit.
Yeah, I might as well touch on this because obviously we've spoke sporadically over social media with the games. I remember one which was Leicester when we did an absolute job on Brendan Rodgers, and we've spoke. Obviously in the past couple of games, West Ham have really been wasteful with some chances, absolutely. But you look back to that Wolves game, you look to that Leicester game. We were clinical, mate. We were absolutely clinical. Do you think with Antonio introduced back into the side, hopefully he reaches full fitness, that we can get back to that same level where we can start to kill games off and start to pick up a few more points?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Against Man City as well, we gave them the game, didn't we, as well? And Antonio scored that overhead kick, and we did, especially them Leicester and Wolves games where we were even written off before a ball was kicked.
By me.
But by me as well, to be fair. But no, Antonio just makes our team a lot better, doesn't he? He just gives it a different dimension. He's a harder worker than Haller, and obviously he's a better player. So, yeah, I hope so. Because we've missed him a lot. Some games we miss him a lot, don't we? You can tell that. You can tell, well, this game's crying out for Antonio. But no, I think hopefully.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? I remember him coming on against Southampton, and I've never seen a change in a team in an attacking sense as I have when he came on. And I was like, this is... Because we could play the low block and we can get men forward, and we can't do that. With Haller, you have to press the team up and you have to get support into him, and it hurts us defensively. We just... Listen, this is why I hope in this transfer window we're good with our signings. We're clever with them. We get the right players and we can play. If he wants to play that style, it's fine. I mean, we're not going to be a possession-based, attractive side. We've got to kill teams in that transition. And I think get a couple of players we can rotate with. We can push this season, mate. Me and you spoke on the Newcastle game. We were down in the dumps because I thought, listen, we're going to struggle this season big time. The fact where we are now, I mean, I want to know your thoughts on it. Do you think West Ham can push for top 8? I mean, push for top 8. Mate, I'll be happy with 10th, particularly this season. But do you think with the right signings, West Ham can continue to progress, continue to pick up points?
Yeah, there's no reason why not. We can't finish top 8, mate, because, I think that obviously Wolves have... I don't know what's happened to Wolves, really. They miss Jimenez, don't they? Villa are up there. Villa are a good team now. So I think it's definitely up for grabs, mate. No reason why not. We've got some good players, but we do need, at least 2 additions for me this window to really mount a challenge for the Europa League. But with what we've got and the players we've got, we've got a lot of good players. We've got a good squad. But it only takes a few injuries, mate, which is why I'm still a bit cautious. But no reason why not.
Yeah, apart from the fact Darren said, I reckon we got a signing player. Listen, mate, you would never put it past West Ham 100%. That's why I'm a bit jittery. It opens up a can of worms, man, because the pressure is on. We have to go and get someone. We have to be decisive. The board have to do something that they don't do, and that's problematic. And I'd hate to think at the end of the season we sit there and say, we look at the Brighton game. For me, was an exercise in resting players, and I think we did well to get the point in the end because we were horrendous. But
we were.
I don't want to get to the end of the season and say because we didn't have the relevant squad depth that we missed out on in a topsy-turvy season. And I do worry that we get to the end and go, God, we missed that. And mate, to be fair, I thought we'd even lost the Brighton game. Like, it was that bad. So it's we just got to go out there and sort it out. Really, I just hope they don't throw Moyes under the bus. And I've got to say before we wrap it up, credit to David Moyes, because I mean, both me and you, we were like very unsure of him. Thought, was the in-game management, and every week up till a certain point, he had slowly changed my mind around. He was doing certain things, being more proactive, and fair play, man. I mean, fair play with the squad and the owners we've got. He's got a tune out of them.
Yes, he's proved the doubters wrong, hasn't he? But he needs to be back this window. He needs, the players he wants, go and get them. Because if you don't, he's throwing him under the bus, and he can't really do any more than what he's doing currently. But hat off to him. He's doing a job, and we look like a proper team again. Look a lot better than we did under Pellegrini. We spent about 100 million quid when we had him. So yeah, no, I just think he's got a tune out of the players. He's got them working hard, moving the ball with intensity, which we never used to do. We just moved it slowly all the time. It was backwards and painful. But no, he's really got a tune out of the players. He's got to play good stuff, and long may it continue.
And as well, he's got a bit of grit about the side. I'm not saying, at times I think it's been kind of, when we have to go on the front foot and break down the teams, we can't do it, but there seems to be that kind of persistence and you saw that in the Everton game with Thomas Souček, and it's almost like the team aren't. I've watched West Ham for years where they just give up and you just think, all right, the game's over. But in the Moyes side, it never really feels like it's over. It always feels like there is something, maybe we can nick a game at the end.
Exactly, mate. Like the old West Hams, when they got a lead, they sat back, didn't they? But even against Everton, when Antonio came on, he got forward at the end, didn't he? And nearly scored, but he tripped over.
God, yeah.
There's that desire still to, not to rest on your laurels, but to go at teams more and really open them up, and credit to him for that. By the way, though, why Antonio's so important to this team, like you touched on, is because that lead up to that goal against Everton, I think he won a header sandwich between Mina and Doucouré, and Antonio's 5'10", and Haller's 6'4". So that ability for Antonio's athleticism to just win a header like that is there, in a sense, more than Haller's to win that ball, is the difference between them two, and it's the difference between a win and a loss. So
I've not seen that in a long, long time. I've not seen a player come on and a team change, and not even change. Almost subconsciously, positionally, they know they can get forward. They know that they've got a player that they can work around, and it's encouraging. You just need another one like that. What I want to touch on, lastly, mate, because I've kept you too long, but Declan Rice. We've heard nothing about Declan Rice, which has been fantastic. No. Long may it continue. I think this has changed. Our conversations about Declan staying, I think, has changed because West Ham as a side have progressed quite a bit this season. He's matured as a captain, which we obviously he's got leadership abilities. We saw that towards the tail end, but certainly this season, I'll tell you what, he's progressing. And I think there is that element, I think, about Declan where he's looking at West Ham. We're a progressive club, and you kind of feel that maybe the way we're moving could give us a little bit more time than I thought we had with him.
Yeah, definitely, mate. You're spot on. If you were Deck, you'd be thinking, do I want to stay at a solid club, or for me, say, if he did move to Chelsea, it's not a step up, is it, at the moment? Because they've obviously they got Lampard there, and his future uncertain. And for me, I'd rather him go to someone like a Man City or someone like that, because he'd do so well there. But like you said, the fact that we're pushing as we've improved as a team. We're pushing up the table, and he'll be thinking, I might as well stay, see what we can achieve, and say if we got Europa League, he'd probably sign a new deal, I hope. But he is the beat to that team. He's the heartbeat to that team for me. He's what he's improved this season. The fact that his progressive passing, his link up play, his tackling interceptions were there years ago. But the fact that he can progress with a ball, go on these marauding runs. Him and Souček, we needed a player like Souček to really kind of, develop him further as a player and bring that pressure off him. And now to have someone like Souček next to him, they've got a tune out of each other, and hopefully, they can both stay here for years to come. But
yeah, I mean, that's the thing, mate. Like, Souček had been linked with Bayern Munich, and spoke to the Everton fan the other week, and he said, can't believe how he felt that Souček in some extent was more important than Declan Rice. I was like, what are you talking about? But I kind of, I can get what an opposition fan would look at in terms of goals, and I think we finally got that perfect partner for Declan Rice. And I know you did a couple of stats and you showed it the other week on social media, but it's true, isn't it? It frees up Declan a little bit. He's not Because I think some people will pin Declan and say from opposition fans and go, well, he got overrun in the midfield when he had players around him that didn't have that level of work rate. When you've got someone around you that's willing to work as hard as you, it frees you up. And as a midfield, we look tons better, mate. Tons.
Yeah, just as a unit in general, mate. As a unit in general, working hard under Pellegrini, you know, we worked hard, but we didn't work that hard. You know what I mean? I think we work a lot harder now, mate, as a unit and togetherness and backing each other. And I think he's excelled, and he will continue to be an England regular. And he is that difference for me. We need him to stay fit, and we need him to perform like he does every week to get a chance of, like the comments are saying, finish in the top 6 or top 7 or top 8.
Yeah. And it's so tight, man. And listen, anything can happen. West Ham have got some favourable fixtures. Burnley, West Brom, conceivable we could win both of them, put ourselves in a nice position. It's nice to have a season where there's no real... I don't feel like there's any expectation. We're overperforming. We could go anywhere. But like me and you touched on tonight, let's get those replacements in for Snodgrass and Haller. Let's not play around. I don't want to be sitting here with you on transfer deadline day, tearing my hair out, thinking, Arnie's coming back type thing. But I think we'll wrap it there, mate. Anything else to say? Should we leave it as it is?
Yeah, leave it as it is, mate. I think Burnley and West Brom will be 2 very tough games, by the way. Burnley were a pain to play against. I hate playing against Burnley.
I hate, but I know on paper it's an easy fixture, but let's be honest, when they've got Chris Wood, I mean, inevitably gets a goal against us. And Jay Rodriguez, massively underrated as well. So
exactly, and you've got Barnes and West Brom, you've got Allardyce looking to get one over us. But no, I think, like you said, mate, the fact that we don't really have any expectations, it's just, take it a game at a time and that consistency. And it's enjoyable being a West Ham fan at the minute, which is refreshing to say. But
yeah, no, long may it continue. Listen, man, thanks for coming on. Everyone that's watching, drop a like before you leave. This will be a weekly series. We'll do it right at the end of the window, where we'll just talk about all the transfer rumours. With West Ham, it is silly season, so there'll be loads to talk about. We can dismiss a load of Lingard rumours that will be creeping up every single week. And if you're new, subscribe. I'll be out with a Predict 11 video for Stockport. Luckily, I can get my hand on some highlights, so I can try and understand a little bit. Luckily, I mean, you don't get a lot with Conference Premier sides, but it's going to be interesting. There will, of course, be a watch-along for that game on Monday evening, 7:30, line-ups, build-ups, and live match commentary as well. So join us then. And until next week, where I'll meet Dan again, take care.